So Trump just called in all the generals and major brass from all around the world to hear his totalitarian ramble and telling them they can do whatever they want. The age of woke is gone, and he's going to use American cities as training grounds, etc., etc. So I just wanted to address if that was anything realistic or possible. What he's very likely done is probably set this country up for a military coup. There's no option where the military can do the things that he's hoping that they're going to be able to do, like stop the next election or keep him in power indefinitely or round up all the Democrats. This is the United States of America. So there's a couple of problems with that plan. One, of course, this country is Second Amendment, which means the number of Americans with weapons is larger than our military. We have over 300 million people in this country. Our military isn't nowhere near that size. We spend a lot on the military, but it doesn't go to the military. It goes to offense contractors, I guess, at this point, under the Department of War. So that's how that goes. There's a lot spent, but it's not spent on combat or the troops or the soldiers or the sailors or anything like that, or the Marines. It's for large contractors. So that's out. Secondarily, it is very hard to get these people to attack communities where their friends and families are. This is not 1840. It's not a segregated military. There aren't really that many segregated neighborhoods left. Even when you're talking about blue cities are probably a good 30 to 40% red. That's what makes a blue city nowadays, is that you just don't have enough population. Florida's a red state. I'm in a red county, and there are plenty of Democrats here. You just don't make up the majority. So there's no more blue states, blue cities, blue neighborhoods, or anything like that. They're predominantly blue, but any city that you attack, you're going to have to inconvenience and annoy a bunch of red voters as well. So that's difficult to impossible to do. And of course, their oath is to the Constitution, not to you, for exactly this reason. So once you start to issue those orders, they are immediately illegal, and you are committing a crime no matter what the Supreme Court says. They cannot vest in you omnipotent power. So at that point, if you get used to ignoring the courts because you're president, then these generals are going to get together and ignore the courts and depose you. That's what will happen with it. If that doesn't happen, the rank and file will rise up against them, and they're very much aware of that. Because as they left the room, they can't applaud, they can't cheer, they can't yell at you, they can't do anything because they don't know what the general to their left or their right is thinking. If they come out and just like, finally, there's another general looking at them like, this motherfucker. And if they come out just like, fucking Trump's crazy, the general to his left is like, what are you talking about? You just caused a bunch of dissension in the ranks because nobody left that room feeling the same way about it. Except for, we can't do none of the shit he's talking about. You talk about the National Guard. National Guard is not cut out for no damn combat. They're not. 90% of the military isn't cut out for combat. It isn't designed for combat. Combat is not part of 90% of the military's job. There are mechanics and cooks and supply clerks and engineers and med techs. They do everything but combat. They did their little 6 weeks, 8 weeks, once upon a time, long time ago, and do a little bit of drilling and training every so often. That's it. The National Guard doesn't even really do that. They still live at home, working as teachers and butchers and bakers and candlestick makers, and then go out and maybe help with some fires or something occasionally. Something that the state could use them for, like a natural disaster. They are not prepared to use lethal force on their neighbors. None of the military is really prepared for that. So maybe what? You're going to do drone strikes and you're in Oregon, the state that came into the Union as a whites only state, probably one of the whitest states in the Union, that's what you decide to do, is use Oregon as one of your spots. Never mind, Illinois isn't predominantly black. New York isn't predominantly black. California isn't predominantly black. So even when you're talking about blue places, there's just major metropolitan enclaves that have black density, but the states aren't predominantly black. And each one of these governors can't keep ceding all their power to the president, especially since this is a country that believes in states' rights. I remember when Biden was in the White House not too long ago, and he was branding and everything else and couldn't do this, and each state made it a big show to make sure that they, from Abbott to DeSantis, to define everything, any and everything he said. Now that Trump's president, everybody's supposed to kiss the ring. No, it's the same thing as when Brandon was in there. If I don't like it, kiss my ass. This is a separate state. This is a separate territory. We're not going to have some national bureaucrat in Washington tell us what to do. This is the free states of America. So I don't know where you can go with this, why you think this is a plan, why you or Hegseth think it's even possible. It's very dangerous for you guys, because I guarantee you a bunch of those men and women left that room thinking something's got to be done about this. He's jumped the shark. Because even if they supported you, they joined the military first. And career military are true believers in the Constitution and whatever else. Then you're talking about a ground war with 300 million people. We can't win ground wars in places like Afghanistan or Iraq, 20, 30 million people. We don't want to fight Iran because it's more organized and 3 and 4 times the size of those other countries. You're going to fight a country this size? With what? This isn't stopping some militia. You're talking about turning your back and declaring war on the entire American populace. That's a civil war at best that you can't turn off, and then you're the president of nothing but chaos, because you're going to keep selling this violence until it reaches a tipping point that nobody can turn off. Nobody can stop, because it's going to be tit for tat in perpetuity. And if you turn this country into 300 million partisans, 300 million guerrilla fighters, 300 million warriors and battlers, you've made a permanent mess. You've opened us up to actual enemies taking over the country. You've opened us up to actually being literally invaded. You can't be invaded by Chicago, but you're going to open us up being invaded by China. They can do it. Russia can do it. Somebody else can do it. An organization or a collection of these countries can get together and do it. And they'll be sitting on our shores and in our cities talking about their peacekeepers and establishing governments and teaching us Mandarin. That's what can happen. But there's no version of it where you sit in as dictator for life. One, you're 80 damn years old. So how much longer is that? There's nobody with the charisma or anything else to keep this faction together when your time is up. So I don't know why anybody's supporting this. I don't know why anybody's listening to it, because it's dangerous for a sitting president to call out governors by name and American cities and tell the military they're going to be using this as their war within. You do it if you want to. But even after you're gone, who's going to pay the price for this? Who's going to be arrested, charged, harmed, or whatever else? You have children, grandchildren, family members, or whatever else who could still be paying for this for generations. Who are just playing, as the country plays the recording of this nonsense from once upon a time of a kind of a mayhem and everything else that led to the madness that ensues from you actually believing that you should do this and try to do it and try to get away with it. So knock yourself out. But our military is not the size of our population. You're having a hard time rounding up 3,000 Mexicans. You're going to round up 40-something million black people, 80-something million Hispanic. What's the real plan? Detention camps? You can't even tell people apart in this country anymore. Everybody lives in the same neighborhoods. Everybody halfway looks like each other. Everybody has different people in their families. There's no way to simply go after any particular group. There's a bunch of people who you consider Antifa that live in Republican or Trump households, and vice versa. I got family and friends that voted for you. It's all intermixed. How are you going to how is somebody going to watch their family members be taken off somewhere? That will turn them on you when their son at college is taken away because he don't want to be under a fascist dictator. How's that going to work in practical terms? This military is not built for this. It's never been built for this. It's built to make a mess, blow up every damn thing, shoot up a bunch of soldiers or whatever else. You won't be fighting soldiers. These are our soldiers. You're going to be fighting the public. They can't tamp that down. They can't instill any order with that. It's impossible. They can't do it in Afghanistan because as long as there's one person willing to shoot one bullet into the air, the soldiers can't rest. And in this country, it's much more gun crazy than any country on earth. Wherever the troops are standing, if they've seized a city, if they're rounding up people or whatever else, it becomes dangerous for them. And for what? Your ego? It's madness. And if you don't stop yourself, that military that you've drug in there to tell this nonsense to will remove you.